All right, here we go. We're going to get started here. You got Tony Sayers on the left. You got Chad Open Your Reality on the right. These two fellas, what do you think of them? Do you think that they get along pretty well? Do you think that they are buddies? Do you think they're in a club, a network, a group to promote each other's business? I'll leave that up to you. I'm going to do a reaction, an analysis, give my thoughts, a review, whatever you want to call it. That's what I'm going to do. Without further ado, let's get started. Let's hit that play button. Enjoy.
Welcome to the video, everyone. My name is Chad. This is Open Your Reality, and today I have a very special guest. His name is Tony Sayers, and he was returning for the 5th time. Tony, we had 2 interviews in 2023, 2 in 2024, none last year, but I'm so glad to have you back on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me back, Chad. And thanks for inviting me back on, and look forward to getting into some interesting topics.
You know, it's funny because with the stuff that Tony talks about on his channel, you would think he would be very critical of someone like Chad. You know, like Chad's deceiving you. Chad is leading you down the wrong path. Chad is going to get you recycled back into this realm for eternity. You would think he would criticize Chad, but you're probably not going to see that here, and you're never going to see it. And I hope that rings a bell for some of you. Right off the bat, we've got Chad in the upper right, just showing you he's a Freemason. He's giving you a free Masonic hand sign, the hand over the chin, right? That's what he's doing right there. I would bet some decent money, maybe not my life savings, that he's a Freemason. I wouldn't be surprised if Tony's a Freemason as well. Tony, are you a Freemason? Would you admit that you're a Freemason?
And great to be back.
Yeah. I mean, some people know exactly who you are, some don't. You are an author. You have your own YouTube channel. You've been posting for years. How many books have you written?
At this point, 5, I think. Yeah. So, I haven't written any for a while, but yeah, I went through a stage where I wrote quite a few in a short period of time. So,
wow, 5 books. Well, they write the books. You know why they write the books? They write the books so they can get your money. That's why they write the books. They would never give a book away or a PDF for free, would they? They're supposed to be real truthers, real truth seekers, helping you out, you know, helping you navigate this reality. But they've got to make your money. They've got to earn their paycheck by writing these books that you read. And we don't know if any of that stuff's really true. Is it really helping you? They all sell their books, their services, their junk, their garbage that ain't going to help you, except maybe make you feel a little bit better sometimes. That's it.
I'm probably due another one soon, I would imagine.
Oh, please
So
don't.
for people who don't know your work, what was the moment that first made you realize that this reality may not be what we're told?
Well, we were just talking about it a little bit off air. Just for me, it was just boredom of being in the corporate world. I was running myself into the ground, working for people who didn't value me, being micromanaged, to the point where every single piece of data was being analyzed. And even if, I was doing well and hitting targets, those targets would then get put up. So it would just be a never ending stress, basically. And I just felt like, I just thought, is this all there is? There must be. I feel like a slave. I feel like I'm just existing and not living, which was the title of my first book. Are you living or just existing? Yeah. So basically that was it. I just felt extremely stressed. I actually got the ins.
Looks like they had to cut the video and come back in. They must have had a disconnection. This was not live. This was a video, so this is still the same interview.
like that if I would carry on, I would have a heart attack by the time I was 50. And I believed that. I just resonated that that would be true. And so that was it. I just went off, started to, it's weird.
And you can see Tony's giving the eyes the sympathetic to draw sympathy from you. Oh man, life was so hard, and work and the expectations of my boss, and it was just shake my head, look down, and just shake my head and look down, and people will believe me, and they will buy my books, my 5 books, and they will also pay for my chakra removal services. And that's okay, Tony. If you do a great service with the chakra removers and help people live better lives or be happier, that's a good thing, Tony. I'm not criticizing you for that. Although some people have criticized the chakra removal service and said that it really messed them up. So I don't know. I haven't done it, and I'm not going to anytime soon.
Weird when you put that intention out, things in information streams come your way. And I learned in about 9/11, and you go down the rabbit holes, and eventually that led to my quote unquote awakening. And then at that point, I think we all have a decision to make. Do we just keep this information to ourselves, or knowing the severity of where they want to take the world and everything like that, we have the kind of responsibility to speak up. And it was at that point that I started a Facebook group, and I knew at that point I would lose a lot of friends, which I did, and my family thought I'd gone crazy. Something that we've all experienced. Mm-hmm. Everyone watching this, I'm sure, as well. And that was it. I've just not kept my mouth shut ever since. I was speaking to someone else earlier, and I was explaining it like when I get something on my chest, it's almost like I need to vomit it out. Like it has to come out because I just can't hold these things in. And that's just my nature. That's what I'm like. And so it's taken me down all different paths, where I've gone into like the astral interference, learning about that, the more metaphysical side, the influence of entities.
I don't know about you guys. I don't understand why grown men have to wear hats indoors. I mean, he's wearing a tank top, for crying out loud, so he's not cold. Like, why is he covering his head? Why is Chad covering his head as well? I don't know. Why are grown men, confident grown men, wearing hats indoors on camera? I mean, if you're home and you don't have the camera on you and you're not uploading it to the internet, do whatever the fuck you want. But man, on camera wearing a hat, you're not a real man if you wear a hat on camera. I'll tell you that.
Entities and etheric implants and the hijacking of our energy bodies to, now it's moved more into like the soul trick, as I prefer to call it, and the deception that when we die. I've done a lot of work around exposing the new age, which in my book I say the new age is the new cage. It's the last honeypot before the gold.
By the way, when you touch your face as you're talking, it is a sign that you are not being fully genuine, or you are unsure about what you are saying. There is some interference in the communication of what you're saying. It could just mean you're just flat out lying as well. Not saying that Tony's lying, but that's something to look out for. He touched his chin twice in a few seconds. When he mentioned soul trick, if you saw earlier, maybe he doesn't really believe it's a soul trick. Maybe he's just doing all this for money. Maybe he thinks that it shouldn't be called a soul trick. Maybe he thinks it's a funny, goofy kind of name. Maybe, something was not genuine about that.
Mine, it's the fake awakening. So I've gone down, really these deep crevices of what's going on, because I do believe that the awakening has kind of been layered. There's like a false awakening going on, which is leading people into like a cul-de-sac.
So Tony is breaking up a bit. I do want to interject and say that Many of these, most, pretty much all, let's just say all. Why not? All of these soul trappers, these gurus, these the ones who front the movement, they always give you genuine explanations of things. If they're asked, how do they come to the realization that they have now? They go back in their past. And a lot of times the stories, not all the time, I don't know, most of them, the stories are just very general, surface level, not deep. It's like I'm not hearing from a real human being, a real spirit, if you will. It's like somebody who's just sort of surface level, not very deep.
And so it's just really spotting those things and calling those things out, and not telling people what to believe, but just like, hey, you might want to consider this, right? This person's a little bit inconsistent here. And especially with a lot of the new age teachings, it really gets people spiritually bypassing, standing down, just accepting things when we shouldn't accept certain things. And yeah, just spotting those anomalies and yeah, exposing those things, the kind of deeper layers to it, I guess you would say.
Yeah, and just to put things into context for those people that don't know you, you are originally from the UK and you're now based in Mexico. And as far as my audience is concerned, I have a mixed bag. I have a whole bunch of people that are into flat earth and soul trap. I have some love and light people. And I like to look at the truth. So I look at both sides of the coin. I give you my opinion. But I don't look to tell people what they should believe. I let them decide for themselves. But I like to bring both love and light. And I've had Neil Donald Walsh and Billy Carson. I've had Tom Campbell on the show, and I have people like you and Howdy Mikowski to see both sides of it. And and in some ways, I'm not.
Yeah, if you notice, he only has the top level guys, the guys with the most subscribers, the ones who have the most reach, right? He's not interviewing smaller people or smaller channels, if you will. He's always interviewing the top of the food chain within these topics, these communities, right? As he flashes Freemasonic hand signs, because he's done that in other videos. Okay. So it's pretty obvious. He's got a club, a network. He only interviews certain people, okay, which have been vetted or they know each other already. All right. Is he really looking for the truth? My opinion is that he is not telling you the truth, as he said. He says he's not going to tell you the truth, but he wants to muddy the waters. He wants to make you confused. He wants to make you feel that you're not getting it. Okay? And he's not centered in the truth.
I'm not saying I'm coming around, but I definitely can see how this could be a soul trap, because the suffering that people and animals experience on this planet is immense. And it is more than anybody would need to have in order to learn a lesson. And you'd have to go through that every lifetime. You talk a lot about the new age deception. What do you think is the biggest trap right now inside the spiritual community?
Well, I think I just made a video on this myself actually yesterday of just breaking down all of it. Really, I think it was purposely designed as the fake awakening. Because what happens is, and yourself, when you wake up, you start learning about all the corruption, and then you naturally fall into these kind of spiritual concepts. And because they are kind of all fluffy and unicorns and positive and angels and guides, and it all feels very good. It's like it makes you feel like kind of woo woo inside. And I think that's part of the deception of it all, because I mean, as you mentioned there correctly, this earth, this realm, this life that we lead, even if you have a good life, there's still trauma involved. We still have a physical body, which we have a nervous system, which we experience pain with, and you've had your own health problems, I know, which you've struggled to overcome. And so, and a lot of people have had a lot of abandonment issues. Some people were abused and stuff like that. So, of course, when you get to that point, people are kind of looking for something to feel good as well, because when you uncover all the conspiracy, it's dark anyway. And then when you fall into that stuff, it all just feels so good, you know. But not everything that glitters is gold, as I always say. And what the New Age does at its core is, as I said, it really teaches spiritual bypassing. It gets people to stand down. It gets people who were previously could be effective just to kind of sit back, let things roll out, just think positive thoughts. You know, we're all going to ascend to 5D la la land without lifting a finger, where it's all going to be unicorns and all of that. And not only that, it's teaching people to, it encourages savior programs, when I believe that we should be moving towards sovereignty.
All right, just wanted to stop there real quick. The New Age, yeah, it's a deception for sure. I think that it really is to replace organized religion, traditional religions. It's a new religion. It is the new religion, and I'm not the first one to state that. I also don't think that it is all bad. I don't think it's bad to feel good. I don't think it's bad to be positive. So Tony, he won't tell you that it's bad to be, that it's bad to feel good or be happy, but that's sort of the message that you get. That's sort of the communication, is that you should be negative. You should be miserable. You should be in fear. The New Age is the opposite side of the spectrum, and both of them are wrong, in my opinion. It's probably not just somewhere in the middle, but it is a combination of both. You must be positive. You must frame things in a way that empowers you, in a way that helps you become successful. But you also need to be real. You need to face challenges. You need to face fears. You need to be honest with yourself. Let's continue.
And you can't be sovereign if you have a savior, whether that's a religious god or an angel or a guide or, some kind of deity. If you're relying on something outside of yourself to save you, then you're always going to be disappointed, because it's never happened in the history of humanity, right? So this is the problem with the New Age. It's encouraging that savior program in people, which a lot of these traumatized people will gravitate to, because who wouldn't want to think that they have a team of guides or a team of angels looking out for them? I get it. I really understand why people go for this stuff, but it's a big deception, in my opinion. And it just also, what it does is it just makes excuses for the evil nature of this realm. Things like it's always your bad karma. You drew that into your life because it's your bad karma, or it's your lesson, Chad, because you failed in a previous lifetime. Nothing to do with the evil nature of this realm. Do you know what I mean? It's always letting the Matrix off the hook. It's never saying, well, hang on a minute, maybe this place is just evil, and we're exposed to all this evil stuff a lot of the time. Maybe it's nothing to do with any of that, but because the Matrix has bent it into a way where people are then blaming themselves for things, then it's a win for them, and then people never really actually get to the objective truth that this place is not as cracked up to be as we think it is. It's the New Age is very disempowering for people, and I've seen it with my own eyes. I
have to disagree. I agree with some of that, but I have to disagree that it's disempowering for people. I think it's very empowering. However, if you're not honest, if you're not looking at reality the way that it is, if you're not, quote, doing the research, doing the work, if you're not looking at things objectively, okay, that's a problem. The soul trap is what disempowers you. The negative thinking, the basement of negativity, as I like to call it, that's not going to, quote, manifest good things for you. Now, I don't know if anyone's ever done the rice experiment. I've done it. And it matched up with what thousands of people have also done and showed on the internet. So you guys, if you haven't heard of it, you can look it up. But our thoughts do have tremendous power. Our minds are tremendously powerful. And it is the one thing, or one of few things, that never gets discussed, never gets talked about, never gets respected, is the power of the mind. The New Age has some advantages. It has some good things that can be helpful to you. It also has a lot of garbage that is going to leave you unsuccessful. The good thing about New Age is that you empower your mind, you empower yourself to be successful. And then you will be successful. But if you believe in these angels, these deities, the source, if you truly believe that, because your mind is so powerful, that is what you get. You will not be sovereign. You will be a slave. You will be a positive thinking, empowered slave. That's the problem with the New Age. That's the problem with these law of attraction teachings. And the soul trap might wake you up to that this is an evil place and there are deceptions everywhere and you are being manipulated. And you will be manipulated potentially into coming back here and having your mind wiped, erased, whatever. I think we get our memories back at some point. But temporarily, our minds are wiped. You will be empowered in regards to thinking of sovereignty and freedom, but your mind will be in the gutter. And you will be manifesting more of that.
I spoke yesterday of this this guy that I met in London in a meeting. I forget what it was, maybe about Monsanto or something. It was back in the day, and he was 19, Chad. He was a force. I could not believe it. I thought, this guy, I'm going to see him 10 years later. He had so much knowledge, so much like focus, and he wanted to make waves. And I walked away from him thinking, wow, if this is the future, kids like him, we're going to be okay. And he wanted to make waves.
This should be Tony's pick for his channel. That should be his pick right there.
And I walked away from him thinking, wow, if this is the future, kids like him, we're going to be okay. And then anyway, I didn't see him for a couple of months. And then the next time I saw him, he came back with an Eckhart Tolle book underneath his arm. Different person, absolutely. The shine had completely gone. He was.
Again, I don't know exactly what Tony's going to say here. This is the first time I've watched this, but Eckhart Tolle, whatever the hell his last name is, he's not all bad. It's not bad to be in the present moment, live in the present moment. It's not bad to deflect these negative, disempowering, negative energies, interferences. It's not a bad thing. Again, it's all about throwing the baby out with the bathwater. Throwing it all out. Throwing it all out. There are truths in all these places, little truths that you have to grab from here, from there, everywhere. You put it all together and hopefully you come up with something beautiful. It's not all in one topic. New Age doesn't give you all the answers. Eckhart Tolle doesn't give you all the answers. Soul Trap doesn't give you all the answers. Religion does not give you all the answers. They give you some. They don't give you everything. It is up to you to discern which information is true, which information is useful, and what is not useful. It is not all I have to do is believe in Tony Sayers and what he's saying, or believe in Howdy McCoskey, or believe in Eckhart Tolle, or believe in any New Age guru, and I'll be saved, or believe in Christianity, and I'll be saved, and I'll be just fine. No, it is the pie of truth has been split and divided into many different pieces, scattered all over the place, and all different topics, to make so that you can't put the puzzle together easily, or that there's no puzzle. You have to take the pieces and put them together. Do you see what picture I'm painting right now? Okay, so there's nothing bad. Well, not nothing, but it's not all bad. What Eckhart Tolle says in his books, and it's not all bad, but that's what they're going to do. They're going to throw that baby out with that bathwater.
Kind of what I would describe as a wet lettuce. We have that saying in the UK. I don't know whether you have it in the US, but it's just like someone has just it just lost all their oomph. And he was like, you know what, Tony, you should just focus on the positive, and you're going to draw more of that in if you focus on it. That's one of the biggest deceptions that they use.
It's not a deception. It is a deception as far as well, I'm going to, earn $1 million today because I'm thinking about it and that's what I want. And I believe I can get it. That's probably not going to happen. But when you think of something in particular, you could be thinking about how you treated your friend. You were bad to your friend. And then guess what? You keep getting thoughts about that relate to that situation and how bad you were to your friend. Or you might be thinking about something more positive. You might be thinking about just how good you feel and just how successful you are. And you will get more and more thoughts that relate to that. So it is true that you do attract more positive or negative thoughts depending on what you're thinking and depending on what your level of belief is in those things as well. So it's not all a deception. Can you create these big, huge manifestations? Probably not, unless you have tremendous power that you have not yet found or developed yet. I think it's possible. I think things are possible. I think I can move mountains. I think I can bend a spoon. But I am not capable yet. Or am I?
The whole idea that if you look at a problem, you're going to draw more problems in, when actually the opposite is true. If you look at a problem, you're able to deal with it.
Untrue. Again, if you have a problem, a quote problem, a situation, a challenge, and you just continue to grab on and take hold of those thoughts that come in and say you are a failure, you will never succeed, you are going to struggle, this is not going to be easy, you are going to fail. That problem is going to be inflated into this giant elephant, like this huge mass of negativity, of failure. That's what's going to happen. You could take one little problem and turn that into an entire mountain of problems because you didn't ignore the negative thoughts that came in, the negative energies, the interference. You didn't ignore it. You didn't say, you know what? This is a challenge right now. Hell, I'll call it a problem. This is a problem. But I'm going to overcome it just like I did last time. It's going to be fine. It's going to be all right. And then chances are, a damn good chance, things are going to be all right.
Confront it maybe, and then it goes away. But, they want you to believe that, if you look at something evil that the Matrix is doing, then you're drawing it more in to yourself, which again, who does that benefit? It
But
benefits.
you are. I mean, I hate to keep pausing, but you are drawing more of this in. You're drawing thoughts and feelings. And that's what we are here in this reality. We are thoughts and we are feelings, or we are experiencing these things. And if you take a situation, you look at a situation on the negative side, glass half empty, you're going to attract more negative feelings and more negative thoughts. That's just a fact. And then how are you going to be able to overcome the challenge with all that negativity, all that fear, all that self-doubt? It almost becomes impossible, and you will need a savior. You will need someone to help you at that point. You won't be able to save or help yourself.
It's the Matrix. It's a win for the Matrix. It lets the Matrix off the hook. So that was the first time I really know. I thought, wow, this new age stuff is dangerous. And he was out of the game then. That was a win for the Matrix, because he, I don't know what he's doing now, but like he's now.
I'll give you an example. If I just think about gas prices, price of eggs, egg prices, the price of whatever, any type of food, any type of thing that we absolutely need, then guess what? It's gonna make me miserable, or it's gonna make me less happy, I guess, or confident than I was before. I'm gonna be worse off. I'm gonna be like, shit, a gas price is just gonna go up forever, and I'm not gonna be able to afford anything anymore. And usually that stuff doesn't happen. So it makes me, puts my mind in a negative state, which is going to affect my day, my decisions, how I'm able to overcome other challenges, because I'm distracted by the negativity. And that's when the Matrix has you. When you can separate yourself from the earth, from the material things, the earthly things, you can separate yourself and live in the moment. That's the most powerful state to be in, and that's not what the Matrix wants. It wants you to put your attention on these things and then continue going down that rabbit hole to hell, quite frankly. So we'll continue here. Let's see if Tony can say some things that I can agree with. I do agree with some of the things he says, but again, I think he throws the baby out with the bathwater. He's not being specific, detailed, deep enough. It's very surface level. Like, he's not going to say thinking positive is bad, but he's going to say like, oh, that's what the Matrix wants. It wants you to just ignore all the problems and just think positively.
Dormant, basically. And it was sad to see, because he had so much potential. So it's kind of things like that, that it just takes people outside of themselves and puts them into this kind of ungrounded la la land where it's all love and light and we're going to ascend to the new earth and all this stuff. So yeah, that's the reason why I'm so passionate about calling that side of things out, because I see it as such a danger.
And I agree with Tony on that. The whole ascending to the new earth is bullshit. In my opinion, in my humble opinion, it is bullshit. Complete bullshit. It's a trap. That is the soul trap right there. A trap for your mind. It's putting something above yourself. Again, it's also not very personalized to you. It's like other people telling you what your future is going to be like if you just follow the rules. If you just follow me or you think positively, you're going to ascend to the new earth. Well, what if I don't want to go to the new earth? What if I want to create my own existence, my own reality, I should say? What if I don't want to be a part of the new earth? Okay? What if I want to be a part? What if I don't want to be a part of heaven, or your heaven, your new earth, your place, your paradise? I don't want to be in your paradise. I want to be in my paradise, and I want to make that decision.
Thing. And even in terms of, the whole 5D ascension, that they're also selling that scam in the afterlife as well. I've seen NDEs where they're promoting that concept, and there was an astral traveler that I reviewed a couple of years back, and He said that they're running that scam in the astral, this whole 5D ascension thing. And it's hopium and copium, isn't it? It's just getting people to sit back and think, everything's going to be all right. We're just, we don't really need to do anything. And so, yeah, that's why the whole New Age movement is dangerous. And I prefer sovereignty over spirituality. I think sovereignty is, where we need to aim for. This is why they've stolen the term sovereign and used it for their kings and queens and all of that, because they, like they invert everything, don't they? So they've stolen it, inverted it, used it for themselves, when it's us that are the true.
And I do agree again with Tony on that, is that I do believe in sovereignty. I think that is what we all are in our essence. We are sovereign. I am sovereign. But if you keep having this stuff put in your mind or your consciousness that you're not sovereign, that there's an authority, there's something above you, you need to ascend to the new earth or go to heaven or whatever it is, right? I think that is a huge trap. That is what you will manifest down the line. But what we should do is manifest sovereignty. Now, I should be saying, right, that Tony's a decent guy. I mean, he's like telling some big truth there about sovereignty that's really important, and you agree, so you should be a little bit less critical of Tony. And I get where you're coming from, but the problem is it's the soul trap, psyop, I like to call it, the soul trap topic in general, the club, the community, the different gurus that go around and they do their interviews and whatever, and they make their videos and tell you about the soul trap. It's the whole package. Think of it like a box with wrapping paper and a bow. It's the package, the soul trap package. The whole package to me is disempowering, and that package is not going to give you sovereignty, right? You need some of the other pieces that are outside of the soul trap box. Tony keeps you in that box. Howdy McCoskey keeps you in that box. Forever Conscious Research keeps you in that box, and many more.
True sovereign beings. And so that's what I think that we need to embody, which is kind of the opposite to spirituality. It's about taking action. It's about speaking our truth. It's about not looking for a savior. It's about being your own leader. It's about not believing in authority, because that, if you believe in authority as a thing, then you also can't be sovereign, because if you believe in authority, you believe that somebody or something has the right to make rules about your life, tell you how to live, and all of this stuff. So that's where I really feel they don't want people in their sovereign frequency. I think they're quite happy to let people go down the love and light route and, all that stuff. But when you're talking about sovereignty, I think that's where it's really at. And that's a frequency that we embody. And it's the polar opposite of the frequency that we've got going on here, which is all about authority, rigidity, lack of creativity, essentially slavery. It's the polar opposite of slavery is sovereignty. So I'm saying to people, hey, look, moreover sovereignty than spirituality. Doesn't mean that we're not energy. I believe that we are energy and we don't die. So you can take that golden nugget with you, but the other stuff, I think they've sprinkled it with the nugget energy.
Uh-oh.
I believe
666.
that we are energy and we don't
The
die.
number
so
of
you
the
can
beast.
take that golden nugget.
You see
with
that?
you. I believe that
away.
we are energy and we don't die. So you can take.
Ooh, Tony, you're busted. Tony's busted. Flashing the 666 hand sign. Ooh, I wasn't expecting that. Now you would think, I don't know, you guys might disagree, but you would think somebody that's done their research and, they've researched Freemasonry a little bit. They've researched the occult. They would know that's a hand sign. It's going to get you some criticism. So I said earlier that I bet Tony's probably a Freemason. Now this doesn't make him a Freemason just because he did this hand sign once. He probably has done it many other times. I don't know. I haven't seen him do it too many times. But that's not a sign you want to be flashing On a truth channel, is it? I don't know, Tony. Not doing very well. Not doing very well with me.
Take that golden nugget with you, but the other stuff, I think they've sprinkled it with, with dog poo, and they've used that core truth of us being
I
energy
just did it again, twice.
and not we never die, and they've peppered it with all their nonsense and guides and all this stuff.
Wow, there's so many questions I could ask you at this point. I guess I'll say my comment is the way I look at it is the soul trap is a definite possibility. And even if I knew there was a soul trap, I'm going to still try to live my life in a positive fashion, because to just be negative, it's going to hurt me and my body, my psyche. So I'm going to try to be as positive as I can about life. But then again, at the same time, I see the trap, right? I understand what this is. You said how long do you think they've been doing this to us? I have a lot of questions, but this is just one of them. How long have they been deceiving us in terms, I mean, this new age is relatively, 150 years old, something like that, goes back to Madame Blavatsky, perhaps.
Yes.
But is it something that they were doing even before that, hundreds or thousands of years ago?
So on your first point, in terms of enjoying life while we absolutely, I'm not walking around depressed and suicidal. I'm out early up in out walking in nature in the morning. I see my friends and all of that stuff. So I don't think that people that are into Soul Trap are necessarily like down in the mouth. Although the information, there is kind of a grieving period when you stumble into that information. So there's.
But what does Tony teach you on his channel that's going to empower you, that's going to make you live a better life? What does he talk about on his channel that is going to help you get through these challenges, overcome them, empower yourself? Where does he say that? Or is it that you just have to buy one of his books or sign up for his chakra removal and get your chakras removed, and then that'll solve all your problems? Why is he not talking more positively on his channel about living a better life, an empowered life? I know I say it a lot, but that is huge. It is huge to know that you can overcome obstacles. It is like being a superhero. You want to be a superhero on Earth. But where does he talk about that? Now, I do agree with Open Your Reality here. But again, like I said, he muddies the waters. He's got too many different topics, too many different people coming on his channel, coming all over the place, okay, and all different ideas and beliefs and truths, if you will, like quote truths and facts and this and that. Just, it muddies everything. So yeah, he could very easily say like, well, you should live your life in a, as happy, positive as you can, because, it's going to degrade you. Okay, it's going to degrade you being in that darkness, having that dark cloud over your head all day. But you got to be positive. Live your best life. But look over there a little bit to the left, and you see that it's a trap. And I agree with that. But again, he's muddying the waters. He's got lots of people saying lots of different things, and it confuses people.
There's that side, but in terms of how long, I mean, I think you're correct in what you're saying, that Blavatsky, who was a Luciferian, she came in and she designed this whole new age, which is actually genius at its core. I mean, I don't like what they're doing, but how they've packaged it is incredible, because they know all our weaknesses. They know that, I mean, if you just go back to the Savior program that I was speaking about, I don't know what it's like for you there, Chad, in the US, but in the UK, I'm assuming it's similar. As soon as we were exposed to television, we had Superman, Super Spider-Man, and He-Man. Like, it's savior after savior after savior, right? And that's if you're not religious. I mean, here in Mexico, they're born with the Bible. Like, they're all so. So the savior programs are very important because, again, it takes you away from your sovereignty. So those savior programs, if you look at religion was
Yeah, I kind of look at it like they've got the superheroes in the movies and the comic books, the cartoons. They've got the heroes, they've got the gods, the different deities, different religions that you can follow, that you can, see as a authority, a savior, whatever you want to call it. But it's to put something above you to make you feel like, well, I don't really have to I don't have to really try too hard. I don't have to put in my best effort because Superman is going to save me. Because Spider-Man is going to save me. Or God, various different deities, they're going to save me. And I don't have to do anything. But what if you were the hero? What if you've always been that hero? By putting it in front of you on the screen, like I said, in a comic book, books, by putting it in front of you, it removes that from within you and it puts it out in the exterior, the external world, where you're looking at it and you're looking and say, there's Superman and there's all the others, powerful beings that are going to help me out, save me, protect me. Instead of looking within, that you already have that. You have that already.
Religion came before the New Age. So I think what happened, if you study the Blavatsky New Age theory, is that people were starting to lose literal faith with religion. It was starting to lose popularity. So they needed something new. And so that's when the New Age came in and they redesigned it, repackaged. So they just replaced Jesus and God with angels and guides and all of that stuff. This is why at the moment, Chad, we're seeing a lot of the prominent New Agers flip-flopping back to religion. We saw the likes of Russell Brand, who was very much New Age, go to religion. We got Laurie Ladd, who was New Age. She's gone to religion. And then we're seeing it vice versa as well. So this is keeping people in a perpetual loop of saviors, looking for a savior, when their own savior is looking at themselves in the mirror, you know? But it seems like they need us to need them. So when we need a savior, we kind of need them. And then that takes us out of our sovereignty. So, I mean, I believe that this whole thing has been going probably thousands of years, but recently they've redesigned it, it seems, with the New Age coming in and everything like that.
Yeah. What do you think this place is, meaning our reality? Is it a school? I know you probably don't think it's a school, but is it a prison? Is it a simulation? Or is it like kind of a real universe, but it's been corrupted and hijacked by what people call the archons?
Well, I believe we're in some kind of AI. We might even be in some kind of quantum computer or some kind of cloud. I know that's kind of weird to say, but when I look at the terminology of what people are using to describe this place, if you look at the word source code, right? Or you hear people say, "Oh, I got a download," right? What's a download? You're downloading something on the computer. The physical domain, the astrodome.
So what? So what if they use those words? Download, source. It doesn't mean it's a computer. People say things for all different reasons. It does not mean that we're in a computer. And computers in the Earth realm are fairly new. It's been fairly recent in history that they've been a part of our lives. So it's just a recent thing to make you think you're living in a computer program. I don't subscribe to that theory at all. But I do believe that it is some sort of artificial intelligence going on here. Some sort of projection, perhaps. Not something very organic. I do think it could be a copy of some other place. I think a lot of things, but I don't think it's a computer program. I could be wrong, but that's just not what my gut is telling me.
A domain is also kind of AI language, right? So it feels to me that this is some kind of maybe it's a quantum computer or simulation or something like that. There's definitely.
I'll tell you, we should start a drinking game. Tony Sayers drinking game. Every time he touches his chin, you're going to have to take a shot. You guys down? You want to do it right now? Let's go. Let's go. Let's back it up. Let's start from the beginning.
An AI element to it.
I got to take another shot.
I don't believe it's a school. You probably know that if you've been watching my stuff. I don't.
And again, that is a Freemasonic hand sign as well. I'm not saying, or I'm not implying that he's just showing you a Freemasonic sign, but maybe he's just very used to doing that. I don't know, but it is a little bit distracting, just touching your face all the time like that. And it's like, it's nerves, it's nerves. And I mean, he's been on with Chad 5 times. He's written 5 books and he's got a pretty big channel overall. He should have too many nerves. So it's just a little bit distracting. That's all. I don't know what you guys think, but we're going to continue here. I know it's early on. It's going to be a long video, but I really want to take a look at everything here in this interview, this discussion.
For me, it can't be because of the memory wipe. I think
take another
in
shot.
A normal school environment, you learn lessons, you pass or you fail, and then you retake the test. I don't think, we don't get our memory wiped in between because how can you ever comprehend the things that you need to learn if your memory's wiped? So, and also with the school, you can just quit, or university, you can just I'm not doing that anymore. But here, unless you self-delete, you're here for the long run, right? So I think just by that, it can't be a school. So the trap, I don't like the word trap because I don't believe that we're trapped here forever. I think we've been tricked. I prefer the word tricked. And we see this in all the NDEs. You've seen them as well, Chad, where they're tricking people with karma and telling people, oh, Chad, you're a good person, but 10 years ago you hurt Joe Bloggs when you had an argument with him, and look, this is how he felt. Like make you feel like he feels. Mm-hmm. They say, oh, we're not judging you, but they make you feel like the person that you hurt, so you judge yourself because humans have empathy, right? We don't want to feel like we've hurt anyone before, and so then you feel bad about yourself, and they're like, well, what can I do? Well, if you want to resolve your karma, then, you need to come back, have another lifetime as a Vietnamese goat farmer with one leg, so you can learn how to have, I don't know, courage or whatever, But first we're going to wipe your memory. And we see how they shapeshift into, like loved ones. And at the light tunnel, they're greeted with open arms by angels and guides and whoever you were really into.
That's right, they are, but that ain't going to work for me. That ain't going to work for you, is it? Because we hear about it all the time. So they're going to use something else if they're going to do anything. Okay? And we don't even know if we're manifesting this stuff. We could be manifesting a life review. We could be manifesting entities approaching us after death just by hearing it, just by the repetition from the Soul Trap community that we have this, we pass, we go up into the astral realm, and we are presented by, I don't know, a castle, beautiful mountains, a landscape, Jesus in his robe, any type of entity or deity, a old, like a relative, like a grandmother, grandfather, anything like that, anything that's going to get you to get with the program, to persuade you to coming back here. I'm sorry, but those stories get kind of old. I know they're on many near-death experiences. That's not always how it is. I've heard many others experience differently than that. So, well, they didn't have any. There weren't any entities or anything going on in the afterlife, if you will, or their near-death experience. So, we don't really know. I always wonder, because the mind is so powerful, our consciousness is so powerful, that I just wonder if these ideas that are planted, these images, these visuals that are planted into our subconscious could possibly, could present itself in the future after we pass. And then you sort of create that for yourself. So I'm always kind of scratching my chin a little bit on that one and wondering if maybe that's a consequence. of believing that, of putting a lot of faith into that as what's going to appear after death.
In your physical life, or whoever you are really close to. And this is the real evil part of it. And this is the part that people really push back on, because I think people want to believe that when they die, it is all love and light, and Granny Janet is going to be there. I get it, right? I wish it was like that. I really do. I'm the first person to admit that that's not a nice way to look at things. But for me, I'm about the objective truth, and I can't deny the level of evidence in the amount of NDEs and astral travel accounts and OBE accounts that I've looked at now. I cannot deny that there is some kind of scam going on, and the work.
Well, the scam could be these experiences that people have. It's all subjective. What they tell you, and we don't really know if those were planted, into their consciousness, that they're just plants. These memories, these experiences, they may or may not be. So don't say that I'm throwing it all out and say, no, there's no way that we have these experiences where we are presented with entities, a life review, all those things. The bottom line is I would just not put any focus or any attention on anything that wants to come into my orbit, if you will, come into my space after this life. I mean, I don't want to pay attention to any of it. I want to have my intention, and my intention only, and that's it. Nothing else. Not, am I going to get a life review? Are they going to tell me that I was bad? Am I going to see Jesus? Am I going to see grandma, etc.?
Work that I do as well. I work with like clearing entities and stuff like that, and I know how they masquerade. And I've had so many stories of people who thought they were channeling angels, dead loved ones, and they've ended up in a complete mess where they followed all this information that was correct, and then there was a rug pull where they followed this piece of information, and it ended up in a mess. So they will lie. They will give you 90% truth. So they're very conniving. They're very tricky. That's why it's a matrix. It's full of tricks. So it's a trick rather than a trap. And I do.
The bottom line is we don't know. We don't actually know what's going to happen after death. That's it. We can move on to the next topic.
I do feel fully confident that it is something that we can get out of. For me, at the moment, I'm more of the opinion of I think this place is too evil to exist. When I see what's going on with children and the poverty and the struggles that people have, and it just for this place to exist, it seems like a bit of a stain on creation. So I'm kind of on the opinion that I want to help with other people, obviously, bring this down, and I think we do that through sovereignty, because it's a frequency war. And I believe that there's this frequency coming from the Saturn Moon matrix. And I think this is this sovereignty is the polar opposite of that. And then once you have more people sovereign, then that starts to collapse in on itself, basically. So I think we can also we might not see the fruits of our labor in our lifetimes, but at least we might be the start of something that does, because I think that sovereignty is growing in people. I've seen it over the last few years, just in my area, that where people are starting to realize, look, no one's coming to save us. We've got to do that ourselves, and standing in their power. I think that's what we need to do.
This next question, I actually have two questions. This is going to sound rather morose, maybe hopeless, but you said you believe this could be an AI construct and that we are in some type of quantum computer. And if that's the case, how could we ever get out? Because it's kind of like a Sims character trying to get out of a video game. They can't. Are we hopelessly stuck in this AI computer forever? Or is it just our souls are in this, kind of like the Matrix movies, are in here?
Well, there is zero evidence that you are in a quantum computer. Zero evidence.
and we can actually get out? That's one question. I'll pose the second question. If you need me to ask it again later on, I'll restate it. But you mentioned the moon matrix, Saturn. Do you believe that the Earth is flat, or do you believe in space and there is a moon and there is a Saturn?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so in terms of the first question, I believe that each human spirit is incredibly powerful. I think we're the creator beings. We create worlds. We see that in the astral. You know, there's many accounts of people just creating worlds just with their intentions and their thoughts. And I think that what they've done with this Saturn moon matrix, it's kept our consciousness in under mind control. It's kept us in this kind of slave mindset. So the more of us that break out of that, that's when we start to see reality change. But of course, that will only come when we embody true sovereignty. It's not going to come if we're still believing in saviors and things like that, because that's not sovereignty. That's why, again, they don't want us in that frequency. And so I think because AI, it kind of mimics our creativity. You know, we're the original, so we're stronger than AI, essentially, when we're in our power. And that also goes into manifestation as well. I don't think that you can properly manifest in this realm, in this dimension, if you're not sovereign. And I feel like I've experienced that myself, to the point where.
Now, I find it interesting that he talks about, and all the other soul trappers talk about how there is no authority. You are sovereign. They're really pushing the idea of sovereignty, but then they present themselves as an authority. I just find that a little bit interesting.
Lately, especially, it feels like I can just think of something and it will come. So, you know, to the point where, you know, I just moved and I wanted to be out of the sticks, and I just found like the perfect place very quickly. The other day I was like, oh, my back's hurting, I need a massage. And I kid you not, I literally walked past a massage shop like within 2 minutes. I was like, did I just manifest that? So I don't know this. And I think if we all embody that, then I think we can start to manifest the reality that we want. So I don't think that this matrix is all powerful and is indestructible, because why would they censor everyone? Why would they shadow ban your channel? Why would they shadow ban my channel? Why would they constantly come up with psyops? Why would they constantly come up with mind control, different loops to keep people stuck in? Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, and that's without all the etheric implants and the attachments, the energetic stuff that's going on. That's without them spraying us and poisoning our food and water. Like, there's something in that. Like, why would they need to do that if they're so powerful? Like, it just doesn't make sense, because I think they know that we are the creators here, right? So I don't think that we're trapped in here forever and we can't get out. I think we're actually more powerful than this magic. Although it's like the Wizard of Oz, isn't it? It wants to make out that it's all powerful when you just pull the curtain back and it's an old man. So in terms of the Earth, I don't believe it's a ball. I believe it's flat. When I say the Saturn moon matrix, there is obviously different dimensions to the planet. So I'm not talking about like physical planet there. I'm talking about the astral version of the Saturn, the moon, basically. And so that's where the frequencies stuff is going on. So I definitely don't believe we're spinning on a ball through space. That's for sure.
Kind of offbeat question, but I was just curious to know, along the lines of what we've been talking about, what are some of your favorite movies that depict the truth? Like, for example, mine is The Matrix, especially the first Matrix movie. What are a few of yours?
Have you ever seen Defending Your Life?
No,
Yep.
haven't.
Chad, you've got to watch it, right? Because I know sometimes you're still a little bit unsure, like what this realm is, or if it's a soul trap. Or if you watch that film, it was in the 80s. It really describes where you go, where you die, the processing center, where people are queuing up at the resort. What's the word? Resort, right? Research. We've done this before, right? Retire. So that they end up in this processing center where you like queue up like you do for a passport. Like in the film Beetlejuice, they talk about that as well. Um, this is where I think you really go. The NDEs that we see, they're all the love and light ones. These are just they're put on a show. Those people. So for when they come back, they can say, "Oh, there's nothing to worry about when you die. Archangel's going to be there, and da da da." Love bomb and all that. But the real NDE, I think you end up going to a processing center, and then you go for your life review, which again in the movie Defending Your Life, it talks about, and he's kind of negotiating with these what they're depicting as entities. So it really does explain the soul trap theory in that film. So that would be my favorite movie. That's the movie that I recommend people to watch, where it's basically telling you what this place is. I also like, is it Jupiter Rising? Is it Jupiter Rising?
Hey guys, I'm going to skip ahead a little bit here. Just bear with me.
Of course, if they've watched a ton of these NDEs, when they die, they're not going to question anything. And so they're going to be easily manipulated, easily deceived, and then they're going to get recycled, and they're back down here on the Earth farm to be used as a battery. So they're very tailored, and many of them are given like I say that they're put on this show to make them come back down and say everything's good. In terms of the more hellish ones, I think from what I've seen, they give these people these experiences maybe to go down the Earth is a school lesson. Look, if you don't improve, then this is what's going to happen to you. So they come back and say, I changed and now I'm good because I realized that I had to learn lessons and I got shown this hellish realm or something like that. So there's always a reason, I think, for everyone's NDE. A lot of the NDEs are fake as well. I think there's a lot of agents out there that are just saying things.
Yeah, honestly, I've never heard anyone say that. So I got to give Tony props for that, because I do think there are agents that are giving you scripted near-death experiences. I do agree with that.
But yeah, I mean, I don't have the answers to all of them, but
it could be all of
I
them.
don't know the exact reasons as to why the Matrix would give them those experiences. It puts them into more fear as well, doesn't it? So it's hard to say.
Yeah, in everyday life, I know you said you've lost some family members in terms of you don't talk to them anymore because of your beliefs. But in everyday life, when you meet somebody in Mexico where you are, do you end up talking about this, or do you basically keep it to yourself? And or does it eventually come out? I'm just curious to know how you conduct yourself in everyday life, knowing all this.
In my everyday life, I spend a lot of time on my own, like yourself. I've watched and I know you. I'm a deep thinker like you, and I need a lot of time and space to sit and discern things, let things cook in my mind. I'm. If you met me in my personal life, you'd think he's quite a quiet person. But as soon as I get on a podcast like this, or I can't stop talking, which is kind of ironic. But I don't, because I'm talking about this all the time, and I'm working with clients as well, and I don't feel the need to kind of like bring this up every time I meet someone new. Quite often I'll just, it's kind of a relief for me just to be more like normal. Is it normal? I don't even know if it is, but if I start to get to know someone quite well, then I'll ask questions and see how much that they're open to it and everything like that. But yeah, I'm not out here locally with the Mexicans shouting all of this to the rooftop.
And isn't it frustrating how people that you bring up these topics to, or you ask some questions to, they just automatically just disregard it? Some of them, many of them, they just, the programming from early age, in television, movies, that the conspiracy theorist is the outcast, the weirdo, the crazy one. It always depicts the conspiracy theorist, the conspiracy researcher, the conspiracy person as some crazy nut job. And then what does that do to people when they are presented by another with a conspiracy or a conspiracy theory? They just disregard it completely because of their programming. And it's just so frustrating, isn't it? You can't have these conversations with normal people, with everyday normal folks. You can't have this conversation, and they're in fear. They're in so much fear to have their reality shaken, have their view of reality altered in some way, challenged. They just can't handle it. They can't take it.
I have thought that maybe I should, because I do speak
And then they get mad at you. Then they get angry with you for ruining their day.
Spanish. Maybe I should do some videos in Spanish, because I kind of feel bad that,
Uno, dos,
they
tres,
deserve
cuatro,
this
cinco, seis.
information as well. But, there's only so many
Siete,
hours in a
ocho,
day, as you know.
nueve.
So,
Well, I think YouTube will automatically subtitle, and also,
okay.
yeah, I've seen that before. Where,
Yeah, I got a Russian lady yesterday on my video saying thanks for the Russian translations. Well, I didn't do them, so YouTube must be doing them.
yes, I've seen some videos in other languages that are translated into English with AI. So they're getting more sophisticated. And in the studio, they have a whole AI analytics now where you can question it. So AI is becoming more and more abundant. I have two questions. Let's see which one I'll ask. Let me ask you this one first. Are you afraid to die, knowing everything that you know? And when you die, do you have a plan?
I'm not afraid to die. I'm afraid. I wouldn't say I'm looking forward to the death process, because I don't know if there is unless you go out, kind of having sex or something.
Dying, to me, it's kind of like riding a bicycle for the first time without training wheels. It's kind of like diving into a pool for the first time. And you just cross your fingers, close your eyes, and the process is scary. It's intimidating. It's the unknown. We are programmed to fear the unknown. So if I can answer this question, I'm going to say that I'm not afraid of dying. More concerned about the ones I may leave behind. In the process, yes, I am concerned, even a little bit afraid of how that's going to go down. What's going to happen? Is it going to be quick, clean, or is it going to be drawn out, painful? But you know what? That's sometime, hopefully in a long, long time from now. I hope I just die in my sleep, I guess. But here's the thing. It's important to take care of things in this life, in this experience. You should look back at your life a little bit and admit things you did wrong and say, you know what, that was wrong. I should have done it a different way. I didn't like the way I treated that person. I didn't like who I was. There's some things right now that I might not like about myself. And try to improve on those things. You got to work on yourself. You got to live more in the present moment. You got to frame things positively so that you can be successful. You got to take care of your health a little bit, because if your health sucks, it's probably going to be more painful for you. Just want to just be older and have that heart just stop and it's over really quick, really easy, quick, like it'd be great to just die in my sleep.
Or like you go out in your sleep. I don't know if there's a particularly nice way of going out of this place. But yeah, I just, because just the physical body, right? Get this. So I'm out in the sticks, and a couple of weeks ago, I walked barefoot because I like to ground and all that stuff. And I trod on something at the back of the land here.
I wonder how drunk you all are right now. If I was taking shots right now, I'd be just completely out of it. Like, I wouldn't be able to continue, you know? Yeah. Because it's the Tony Sayers drinking game. Every time Tony Sayers touches his face, you must take a shot. And you all must participate. You're all here. You're all watching Tony, and I created the game, and you must participate, and you must take a shot for every time that Tony touches his face. I don't care where you are in the world. I don't care what time it is. I don't care if you are operating heavy machinery. You must take a shot. Do it. And every time he does the 666 symbol, the 666 symbol, you got to take 2 shots.
And I was like, that really hurt, like for a couple of minutes, then it passed. But then the weeks went by, and I could tell that it felt like something was stuck in my foot, right? Something must have got in. And this got worse over the last weekend, to the point where I was with my friend and I was like, I was hobbling. I'm like, I'm going to have to get this seen. But I hate going to the doctors. I haven't been to the doctors for like 25 years, right? I'm my own doctor. But of course, I didn't want it to get infected, and then it could get much worse. So I thought, you know what, I'm gonna have a look at it myself tonight, get some tweezers, and then if it's not any better, I'm gonna have to bite the bullet. So I got some tweezers. I pulled out the tiniest little thorn. Right, it was ridiculous, and I looked at it and I was like, how did that tiny little thorn give me so much pain?
Paper
it just
cut.
doesn't make sense. So, and again, I always talk about like the nervous system and the pain that we have to go through and all of that stuff. It's kind of brutal. And so I'd be lying if I said that, that part didn't make me nervous. I'm not looking forward to that part, however that happens. But I don't fear. I feel like I've spent so much time researching and what's going on. I feel sovereign in myself. I don't feel like I'm just going to be easily tricked anywhere or easily led anywhere. So I feel confident that that I can get out, and how that looks exactly is that's still.
But how can you get out, Tony? How can we get out? Are there any answers to that question? Are there any solutions? Is there anything I can try? Maybe you could try astral travel. Get out of body, just experience the other realms. Maybe becoming more familiar with those things can help you. But I think it's something a little bit deeper. I think it's something within you. It's the type of being that you are. That's what's going to, I think, empower you to get the best outcome in this whole thing, is to work on yourself. And I could go into some examples, but I think it's being a good person, or being a good spirit here. It's about not giving into temptations that can ultimately, whether directly or indirectly, harm others. It is about admitting that you're wrong, admitting that you were wrong, and apologizing once in a while. It's about being the bigger person. It's about being true to yourself. It is about being resilient. It is about being able to stand tall through adversity. It is about being able to sacrifice yourself for others. It is not living in fear. Not having any fear. No fear.
There's a certain number of things that I definitely won't be doing. I won't be going to the light. I'm not going to be engaging with any entities or anything like that. I'm not going to be merging with any kind of source or God or anything like that. That creeps me out. The idea, I want to retain my sovereignty. Maybe I'll just create a realm for a while and figure it out. There doesn't have to be any rush. I'm not going to be rushed into anything. But I like to think that hopefully the whole thing will collapse in on itself and cease to exist at some point anyway. So
Nah,
Yeah,
that's
I
not
mean,
gonna
it
happen.
seems to me like society is collapsing on itself. I mean, I know you talk about the whole Matrix, but
But it's really all relative. You know, people think the end of the world is coming, but people have been saying that for centuries, decades, centuries, however long you want to go back. That the earth is ending. This whole thing is just gonna dissolve into nothing, and the ones that were good are going to ascend into a greater place, and the ones that were bad are going to go down below. Right? Nah, this place isn't going anywhere right now. This is just standard operating procedure. This is the way it's supposed to be. And it's all relative in the sense that things that were considered evil back 100 years ago are just normal now. Like having a driver's license or having a credit card or a phone book with an address book with addresses in it, whatever it is, anything that invades and, or not invades, but anything that kind of gives out your anything private, you know, or like I said, having a driver's license, having a social security number. These are things that have been around for a long time in the United States. And then they come up with new things. And then we think the world's ending because we perceive it as getting worse and worse. And it is. But how bad will it get? I'm just not a subscriber to that things are going to end anytime soon. It's just the same old, nothing new under the sun. Same old. It's going to continue and keep going. But how bad will it get? And will you allow it? Will you give in to evil? Will you stand tall against the adversity? Will you live with no fear? That's ultimately, I think, the goal here, is to not have fear. All these people put you in fear one way or another. These leaders, these authorities, these gurus. And of course, Tony, he's against authority, but he is an authority. He wants you to buy his books, wants you to pay for his chakra removal service. He wants to be an authority on the subject. Just like Howdy McCoskey. Now, Howdy McCoskey is someone that won't even reply back to comments in his on his videos. He's too good. He's too good to comment back, right back to people. There's others who do the same thing. They just ignore their audience because they are better than you, higher up on the chain, the food chain. They're better. They are your authority. As they speak out of both sides of their mouth, tell you that you don't need any authority. You don't have an authority. You're sovereign. But they want to be the authority, and they put themselves in the position of being an authority. They are not to be trusted. I don't think Tony is to be trusted, and certainly not Chad, who muddies the waters in all these issues. That's all I got for today, folks. That's all I'm going to go through. I'm going to link the video below. So if you want to watch the whole thing, make sure I'm not taking anything out of context or anything. I had to skip ahead a little bit because they were talking about movies. But I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you enjoy your day. We'll see you on the next one. Peace.